And right now, without further ado, we'll start going into our the main audio for today. We'll have our panelists, and we'll start getting to know much stuff. I know it's we're having fun, but there's more substance to this meeting. We're here to talk and learn more about experiences. We're here to ask questions and build ourselves much more. So right now we have our panelists. We have Pastor Bumi and Pastor Raphael. Pastor Bumi I'm calling her Pastor because, in this moment, they are pastors, okay? We have Pastor Bumi is a wife. She's a mother. She's great at what she does. She's also a coach in her right. She is a coach in her right. So, and her husband as well is an evangelist. He's a certified security specialist and a social counselor. And guys, they've been married for 9 years. 9 years is not a joke. 9 years is not a joke. So please, with Jesus' joy, with all the love that we've got, and with so much honor, we just like to welcome them. You can welcome them on the chat. Just maybe of a clap and say, welcome, Pastor R and Pastor Bumi. You're really welcome. We honor you. We're so happy to have you here with us. Also, next we have Pastor Pam and Pastor Jimmy. We have them. They've been married for 2 years. Pastor Pam is an amazing woman. She has been, part of the Women of Virtue, which was even before Women of Power. She's been a force, like literally a force, always there, ever ready, an amazing mother, an amazing wife. Pastor Jay as well, always hands on deck, lovely pastors as well in Light London. And they do so good at their job. And so, yeah, we have a lot of wisdom to glean from them. So please welcome Pastor Jay and Pastor Pam. You're welcome. We love you guys. You're really welcome. We really honor you. Welcome, welcome. And of course, last but not the least, we have, let's just call them power couple. Teamwork makes the gym work. We're happy to have you guys here. We have Pastor Nancy. We have Pastor Jackson. Pastor Nancy is a wife. She's a mama. She's the president of Women of Power. This woman, when the Bible talks about Proverbs 31 women, they do a lot of things. Her husband is respected in the city. She's that kind of woman, she's a power force. If you have her in your life can never remain the same. She's that kind of woman. She's a blessing to people that she comes close to. And then we have a husband. What is life without the husband? Pastor Jackson, he's a happiness ambassador. He is, I know he's a songwriter. He's a pastor. He's good at what he does. He's a daddy. As in, he's a father in the home, not just a father to his child, but he's a father to us here as well. So we welcome you guys with Jesus' joy, with so much love in our hearts. And honor, let's say welcome, Pastor Nancy and Pastor Jackson. Welcome, 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 welcome. So as this panel will go, I'm just going to ask a couple of questions to all of you, and also there are other questions that have been sent. We asked a lot of you to send your questions to us, and then we'll ask it. So without further ado, I think I've introduced you, but I just want to know just a little bit, maybe not up to like a minute. I'd like to hear from Pastor Pam and Pastor Jimmy how you met. Just short, how did you meet?
We actually met online. We met on a Christian dating website. How many years ago? Coming up to, I think, 5 years ago now. Is it 5 years? Yeah, it's going to be 5 years this year. So yeah, I was freshly out of uni working. He was also out of uni. I was newly saved at the time, so I was looking for new friendships. I was looking for somebody who had a relationship with God, and yeah, I ended up on a website for Christians who basically host lots of different events, and I came across his profile. He seemed genuine, so I messaged him, and yeah, we just ended up talking, and here we are, married with a little baby now.
Wow, wow, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. And just quickly, Pastor Bumi and Pastor R, just not up to a minute, just how did you guys meet shortly? And then we'll go into questions.
Let's get to answer that. Is it Pastoral?
The truth, not the his and hers version. The truth.
You answer that. Is it Pastoral?
No, any one of you, but as long as it's the truth.
Yeah, 2012, I was just at home, in Agri-Ekiti. So when we met, 2002 rather. So, some friends came to meet me and told me they saw two beautiful ladies, and they said I should just go there to take a look at them. So, and I said, okay. So that night I peeped at them because the place is not far to my own house. So I peeped at them and I saw them, very pretty ladies. They are cousins. And I said, well, let me go there because they said Bumi is tough, but the other lady is a bit Libra. I said, let me go there and I will ask them to come. I will go and visit my friend they are staying with, and I will ask one of them to come and sit for my laps. And if they agree, anyone that agrees is going to be my wife. So when I got there, the one that said is tough, I called her. Lady, how you doing? Come on, sit. I want to tell you something. She didn't oblige. So I now called Bumi. Bumi, can I just say something to you? Can you sit on my lap? I want to tell you something. And she obliged. That was how we met,
Wow, wow, wow. What a story. What a story. I guess there's more to answer from there.
Woo! It all started with a lap dance.
Guys, let's be spirit-led. Let's be spirit-led. This is a lovely story, but
we need to run a single seminar on how to woo your future mates.
They took it to the Bible.
I probably would have been like, here's a basketball. Whichever one makes the shot, you're my wife. If you don't make the shot.
That's probably not going to go well. Oh, yeah. We would like to ask Pastor Jackson and Pastor Nancy just a short story of how they met as well. And then we'll move on to the next.
Okay, so I took a trip to Nigeria to have a chill time. It was October, half term. I wanted to relax. And my dad said, let's go out. And we went out, and through a family friend, she came in and she was like, we went to a restaurant. It was a restaurant. And we met at the restaurant through a family friend. And it was at that point I was like, oh, wow, I wasn't looking for a bride. I wasn't. We were just great friends. And in that week alone, it was just like, we were so connected. I liked her. And you know what? She had no makeup on that day and she looked beautiful. And I feel like if she had makeup on that day, I probably wouldn't have, because I just wanted to see the purity of her heart. I didn't want to marry Mac. I wanted to marry purity. So that's how
Hallelujah.
I think it's coming for some of us. You know what? Let all of us wipe our makeup. No, because of what he said, let's just wipe off our makeup.
Every man has different preferences, man. That was just mine.
Oh, right. I was just thinking that it would just be fair. Let's just go on a strike, makeup strike. But it's all right. So now we're going to go into the questions that we have today for the panels. Someone says, I'm with a guy whose values don't completely align with mine, but he's a good guy. Some of us can relate. I feel like I'm compromising on who God has asked me to be while I'm with him, but we've been together for a while and I don't know whether to leave him or to stay. What if there is no one else? Please, this question will be going to Pastor Pam and Pastor Jay. Please, what answer would you be able to give to that?
I think that when it comes to values is very, very important. Values and principles really is what makes up a person. And I feel like if the person, because don't forget, whoever you're going to end up with is the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with. This values is going to come through even when you have children. These are the same values and principles you're going to raise them. So it's not just about the immediate time, it's about an everlasting time. And like I said, values are very important. And if you don't feel that it's in alignment with yours, and specifically if it's compromising whom God has called you to be, what I would say is that God has better for you. I don't think God will pair you up with somebody whose values compromise with yours, because essentially when you get together, you're working together to fulfill God's call on your lives. And if you're on two separate pages, it's going to be very difficult. very challenging, and it can potentially affect your relationship with God. So for me personally, I would say just pray about it, seek wisdom from the Holy Spirit, and God will send you somebody suited to you. So, yeah.
All right, that's really, really beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. I have another question, and this question will be going to Pastor Jackson and Pastor Nancy. My family keep asking me when I'm getting married. It wasn't really something I was too focused on. But the more they ask, the more I'm wondering should I be married? I'm more worried about it. Is 27 too old to be relaxed about getting married?
I think I'm going to go first. My Bible tells me that he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. Mm-hmm. So one thing I believe in life is we don't allow the society pressure or the pressure from our family to push us out to get married to anybody. This marriage we're talking about, I like to say marriage is an institution that they get to give you your certificate before you even start at all. And the meaning of that certificate is that you are capable to handle that relationship. You are capable to go into that marriage. That's the reason why you're given that certificate. So if your family is now putting pressure on you to get married, that's not a good reason to get married. That's a wrong motive to get married. I feel age notwithstanding, because age is never a barrier. Age is not a barrier when it comes to marriage. I feel age aside, we should follow God's plan for our lives, not what our parents are saying. So that's what I like to say. I don't know what you like to say.
Well, it's a ridiculous benchmark for marriage, age. It should be the purpose. Why do you want to get married? If you don't know the purpose of something, abuse is inevitable. Many people are going into marriage because, your biological clock is ticking. You need to be married now. There are some people who get married because they're now 25 and by 26, they've divorced. So we shouldn't use that as a way of measuring. You're 27 years old. It's not too late to get married at 27. So for me, I really believe get to know yourself, get to love yourself. And when the time is right, it would happen. So don't be under pressure. There are people in their 40s that are getting married. Okay. So yeah, which is good.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So now the next question will be going to Pastor Raf and Pastor Bumi. How long is too long to be dating someone? We've been together for 5 years and I haven't heard one word about an engagement. I'm tired.
You want to go first? Go first. Okay, what matters? Let me first thank Pastor Jackson and Pastor Nancy for this opportunity to be here. Sincerely, I just really appreciate. I think I'm privileged. God bless you, sir, and man. Really, in a relationship, there's no time that is abandoned. There's not too much time to cut. But what matters is how serious is your partner is. What is the demand? What is your partner demanding from you at that time of courtship? So, and Pastor Pam or the wife said something the other time that your values, what do you really need in a marriage? Have you seen it during that time of courting? Is it just because it's 5 years now and you've not seen the values you want, you've not even seen what you really wanted in the man or the woman you wanted to get married to? Is that why you are now succumbing to prayer? No, you just need to, like my wife and I, we court for 9 years. We dated for 9 years, and some people can court for 1 year or 2 years. It depends. What matters, why did we date long? It is because we dated long because both of us want to have our degrees. We want to make sure that we have degree, and we want to make sure that I start working, and one of them must start doing something tangible that can ensure that the house is well financed. And when we got to that, when we attained what we were clamoring for, and we went to just get married. So I will advise the one of the partners should not marry because of anxiety. Should not be anxious. Should just be calm to see that he has seen or she has seen the value of what she needed or what he needed in the relationship before they can go into marriage. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, if the guy is a prospect, you will know if he's the kind of person you want to marry. Then you can wait. Then you can wait. Then you can be patient. And then the second thing is he the kind of person you really want to stay with? And then why is he not talking about marriage? Why is he not talking about engagement? At least, even if he's not ready now, you should know the reason why he's not ready. You know, my husband said, we were waiting because of two things. For us to get our degrees, for us to get a job. So what is the purpose of the guy not talking about engagement? She needs to know. That's one of the criteria in which you know a serious-minded person. You will not show what it says. Throughout the long courtship that we had, my husband are always saying, if I have money today, I'll marry you today. If I have money today, I'll marry you. So if he's not talking about that, she needs to check it out. Then she needs to ask. She needs to ask question. She needs to ask question. Thank you.
Right, perfect. So now that we've asked, one question each to each couple, we're going to ask a question that more couples can answer, and these are quite serious topics as well. And of course, you probably know as well that whatever questions that I ask you, of course, the person is kept anonymous. So if you have any extra questions, you can send them to me privately as well, and then we could answer them. So this question will go to Pastor Jackson and Pastor Nancy first, and then Pastor Pam can answer it as well. Pastor Pam and Pastor Jay as well. How do I handle the case of a husband who stifles my calling, a man who is not supportive? Instead of being encouraging, he discourages me. How do I work with that? And this is in a marriage, by the way.
Okay, I think that definitely is a drainer. So the advice I would like to give is, I truly believe that when someone is not giving what they're supposed to give, I believe it's all about what they're receiving. So that woman needs to try her best to, first of all, pour into the man and see what happens. Right. So I really believe when love comes from her and just, my king, you're amazing, you're great, really help him and nurture him and engage it from that point of view. Because sometimes we might be waiting for someone to empower us. Maybe that person needs empowerment to find their kingship in order for them to be able to reciprocate. If my wife doesn't encourage me and empower me, I can't reciprocate that power. So that's the first thing I would actually say. The second thing is you need to go into the heavenly realms and begin to pray down some prayers for him to be able to open his eyes to understand that he's a nurturer of the woman's gifts. It took me a while. I'm a very powerful man. I'm vision driven. There were times where I'm running after my vision and I've forgotten the fact that my wife also has a purpose. So God had to reprimand me to understand that, do you understand that you're one house? So it's an easy mistake to make because men were vision driven and we think because I'm building a business, then I'm doing it for the family. But what does she want to do as well? So yeah, all about pouring into him and prayer.
Okay, I'm gonna just add to that. One thing I do tell people is that whatever you want in a marriage, if you're not getting it, maybe be the first person to chip that into that marriage. Okay, say for instance, you're not getting maybe praise or something you need to get from that marriage. How about you start doing that? Maybe start like just what my husband says, start doing that, praising the man, making sure you're doing what you want to see him do. And by the time you're pouring that towards him, it will change. It will do the same thing back to you. So, yeah.
Right, perfect. Pastor Pam and Pastor Jay, please, any extra additions you'd like to make?
I think when it will sound a bit cliche when I say this, but I think when we do think about that, we have to also think about what the word says about how we're meant to be to each other in marriage. the Bible tells that, you know, a wife should submit to their husband as they would do the Lord. And I think that's very key in the first understanding what a woman's heart posture should be in that situation. So I'd be saying to the lady, first of all, just check your heart at this moment. It might, you may want to also just remember that your husband's actions, although he's doing those, and whether it's purposely trying to serve you well or unintentionally, God is also still watching you and your action as to how you're going to respond. And that's very, very key in remembering that. It doesn't matter. And I'm trying to say this very carefully here, because I don't want to make it seem like we're dismissing what the husband is doing. But we have to also remember that God is always watching our hearts, and Jesus is always at the door knocking, waiting to see whether or not we're going to respond to his word. I would say think about that on a practical level, because I would say it's important to bring that to his attention. If it really is something that is of a bother, it really is something that you feel you're being oppressed with, or you feel like you're not being supported enough, it's something you have to bring to his attention. The Bible tells us about, you know, when somebody offends you, when your brother offends you, you go straight to them directly. You don't go to your family, friends. You don't go to your friends first. You don't go to somebody else in a woman's group and you tell them first. You have to make sure you speak to him first and him only. If that doesn't work, you do as the Bible says to you. You go and bring a sister, somebody of reputable stance that maybe both of you know, and you bring it together and you speak about it. Maybe there's just three of you. If that doesn't work, you go and bring somebody maybe who's in your church, or maybe someone who's even of a higher reputable status. You bring them together. You say, how can we try and talk about this? You may even want to go, maybe say, okay, maybe this isn't working. Let's consider counseling with a pastor or somebody of that nature. You bring it together and you try and address it that way. Always try to do things in stages. Never go from like 0 to 100. I wouldn't advise that, sort of just, you know, completely disregarding, thinking that the husband can never change. I think you always have to allow grace to abound to the person, and remember that they are God's people and there is an area for them to change. Similar to what Nancy said as well, praying, you know, interceding for them as well, interceding for the situation, and really believing that it can change, you know.
And I think what I'd probably add to that is that it first has to start from a place of forgiveness. I think especially if it's been happening for a while, there's no doubt that there'll be a lot of resentment in your heart. And that often translates in how you relate to your husband, how you behave, maybe how you treat him, how you talk to him. So I think it always starts from a place of forgiveness. Once you've forgiven and your heart is open, you're able to see through the lens of Christ. So you're able to see your husband through how Christ would see him. And I think that will definitely help in terms of how to communicate with him to resolve stuff. Yeah, so that's what I'll probably have.
Oh, wow. Really, really good insight. Really good insight. Thank you very much.
And I just want to quickly throw something in there. I mean, my wife is very direct. You know, when things are not going the way it's supposed to go, she would let me know. It's like, I'm not happy. You're not supporting me in this thing. And it catches me and I'm like, oh, okay. And I'll go away and reflect on it. It's like, okay, she's telling the truth. So be direct.
Yeah.
They might not even know they're doing it. They might not even be, because there were times that I've met with my husband, like, listen, that was years ago. Listen, you're not supporting me in this aspect. And he never knew he wasn't supporting. Maybe you need to let them know, maybe call them one-on-one and just sit with them and say, this is how I feel about this thing. And yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such wisdom and insight. This next question, firstly, will be going to Pastor Bumi and Pastor Raf, and then, you know, the floor is open for the other couples that may want to answer. In marriage, how do you manage a situation where the woman has been waiting for the fruit of the womb for 8 years, and especially when there's pressure from the in-laws and the husband is no longer supportive in the sense of defending the wife anymore? How do you handle that? And
Well,
Pastor Bumi and Pastor Raf.
okay, it's a bit complex matter, you know, especially in Africa here. You know, when you get married, first year, second year, and the fruit is not coming, you know, there's going to be a very a very big prayer, you know, from all sides, even your friends, from your friends, you know, to your own family, before even the family of your husband, you know, it's going to be a big prayer. But what matters is this: if your husband or your wife is, you know, is the one, if the husband is the one who has the strong will, like, you know, in our own time, in the first year, the child was not coming on time, and my wife is not having the strong, I have the strong will. I'm not depressed easily, nothing baffles me. So what you need to do to your partner is the word of encouragement. No, it's going to come. It's going to come. You know, the Lord is there for us. The Lord can never let us down. The Lord is not going to put us in shame, you know. And what the man needs is, the man needs to be responsible. You have to take total charge, you know, in terms of your family. You know, you should be able to talk to your mom. You should be able to talk to your dad. It's your life. It's your wife. You know, it's not their wife. It's your own wife, and it's your own life. It's not their own life. So it depends on your body language, you know, to them. When you are sober, when they realize that you are traumatized with that kind of situation, they will have the opportunity to penetrate you negatively. But when they see your body language and they see that you are not traumatized, you are happy, you know, they won't be able to come to you to talk you down or to talk your wife down. So two things is involved now. Number one, you have to encourage your partner. You have to know the weaker one and the strong one. Number two, you have to take total responsibility. You have to be responsible. You have to be able to talk people that know, stop it. You know, my wife is going to be good. And finally, if it's becoming a long-term thing, you have to come together and now decide, what are we going to do? Are we going to, you know, are we going to adopt? What can we do to just, you know, silence people, you know, embarrassing us here and there? You know, with those three things, I'm sure that the Lord himself is going to take total control. So I don't know if my wife has something to say.
Yes, you know, it's a serious matter and it happens around us. It happens all the time. But what I want to encourage that kind of woman in that kind of situation is, she has to be strong. She has to be strong. She said, even at the time when the husband is no more protecting her, is no more supporting her anymore, she has to be strong. You have to hold on to your faith. You have to hold on to your faith. Just focus on God. Let your eyes be fixed on God. It will get to a stage in our journey in life that even your husband, even your own child can turn against you. Anybody can. The only one you will be left with is God. So this is the time that kind of a woman needs to hold on to God, praying ceaselessly, praying seriously, committing the heart of the people into the hands of God, not behaving negatively, not reacting negatively to them, but just continue to show them love, continue to talk to them with humility, and continue to talk to God about it. God sees the situation. He knows what you're going through. And as you continue to hold on to God, believing God, not having a shaking faith, not doubting in your heart or compromising, because it will get to a stage you will get a lot of advice. You will be forced to go and do what you're not supposed to do. Do not compromise. Don't compromise. Hold on to God and be strong. That's just my word.
And lastly, if the prayer is not bearable, they can change the environment. Exactly. They can hide themselves. They can change the environments from where the prayer is coming from. Maybe if the wife is prayerized, the husband can just change the environment and, you know, keep the wife out of prayer. So that is one of the things that one can put in place.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Any other answer?
I'm also going to add to that. You know, what pisses me off the most is we, Africa, we do something that it's not really nice. And I think the other day you came to my house, Angela, I was talking about this particular topic as well. You know, one thing I want people to know is having children, it's not for everybody. It's not for your family members. It's not for your friends. It's not for anybody. Marriage, having children is like a blessing to your marriage. It's not the main reason why you got married in the first place. it's like a byproduct of marriage. That's the way I want to say children. The reason why two will come together initially is because two will chase 10,000s, isn't it? To kind of advance the kingdom of God. So I don't want to believe that the reason why you come together as husband and wife is just to produce children. So if you're now being pressured by family, and one thing we do really well in Africa background is that once it's 1 year or 6 months and there is not children in that family or not a child in that family, you start to message them. You start to say, oh, we are praying for you. How do you know they even want children? How do you know that even 1 year to their marriage, they're ready to have children? I remember when I was waiting on God for a child, you know, so many people will message me, or for example, if I actually use my one of my friends' baby's picture on my DP, people will start to message me and say congratulations, and I'll be like, did I tell you I had a baby? You know, people start to mount pressure. I'm praying for you, this, and it's so annoying. But the difficult part of it now is that the fact that your husband is not supporting you, that's the most difficult aspect. If that man is supporting you, if the man is on your side, I would say don't even answer to whatever the family would say. Everyone has been through that before. When you're waiting on God for the fruit of the womb, you start to see in-laws trying to tell you, what are you guys doing? Have you been to the hospital or stuff? But the fact that the husband is not supporting, that's the most challenging part. You want to get your husband on your side. That's one thing you want to do. And you don't have to physically go to the man and say, you need to be on my side. No, that's not the way to do it, because you're just going to ruin your home. What you want to do, like what Sister Bumi said, you have to be strong for yourself. At the end of the day, it's all about your health. It's everything about you. It's got nothing to do with your family members. Having children, and then when you have children, what next? They will tell you you haven't built a house. You need to start chasing that. And after that, what next? All these in-laws will question you. They will ask you to do so many things, but you want to get your husband on your side. Forget about you not having children right now. Forget about you not being pregnant. All you want to do, like what Sister Bomi said, you want to fix your faith on God. That's number one thing. It's very, very key. It's so sad that people don't know what we go through as women when you're waiting on God for the fruit of the womb. That's number one thing you don't want to ask a woman. It's really, really, really so pathetic that people do that to us. But what you want to do is to gather yourself together, put yourself together, wear your smile again, and just make sure you fix your eyes on God. Unwavering, fix your eyes on God, get your husband to come on board with you by praying to God to say, listen, I want my husband to be on my side. Because if you go to that man and, you know, start to tell him to be on your side, something might just go wrong. You want to do it prayerfully. And, you know, that's what I've got to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for such insight. The next question will be going to Pastor Pam and Pastor Bumi and Pastor Raphael, if possible. How do you handle a man that is spiritually weaker than you? You know, a man, you're married to the man, he's spiritually down, much more like spiritually lower than you. How can one handle such relationship?
I think it's very important to us to remember that often at times we learn based on our environment, we learn based on observation. Even though you are in a marriage, it's also very important to know that, yes, you have your relationship with God as a couple, but you also have your personal relationship with God as individuals. And often at times what happens, or what you start to see, is that even if he's not where you are yet spiritually, in keeping up with where, you know, your relationship with God, often at times they observe that and eventually they start to learn based on what they see. So what I would encourage you to do, just carry on in your faith, you know, love him like you're meant to, you know, treat him well, keep praying, and also pray for him. You know, don't forget that even if there's two people in a marriage, I always say there's actually three. The third party is God. You know, if your husband or your wife is not listening, take it to God. Whatever your needs are, communicate that with God. Say, God, this is what the issue is. Help me, help my partner. You're not just you two. God is also the third counselor, the third party in your marriage. So just keep as you are, keep your relationship with God. he will observe that and follow suit, and just pray to God as well to help him.
And if I could just add something as well, I think it's also really important to remember sometimes when we think about getting into marriage, we think that it's coming to a point of whereby everything is going to be perfect, and we need to remember that just as we're in a marriage, we're developing, so we can't forget that our partners are still also developing in Christ. And we know that in Christ that everything is working together for our good, and we're all working out our own salvation. It doesn't stop once you get married. So if the person is say maybe not as spiritually where you are at, give it time, give it time. They can, God can work, the Holy Spirit can put the fire of God on a person within a second. It only takes one encounter in a secret place for you to have a new perspective with God. So you always have to be expectant that, okay, tomorrow really could be the day that everything just fits together, and before you know it, they may be even advanced more than you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pastor Bumi and Pastor Raf.
Okay, let me first talk so that I just hand over to her because she's an expert in this. The Lord has really helped her to revive me. You see, the partner, if the husband is the one that is weak, the wife must be sure that she is genuinely saved. But when you are not genuinely saved, there's no way you can change order, even in the realm of the spirit. So now, it's not because you think you're spiritual, you are judging him that, okay, his own kind of lifestyle you are better than him. No, or you are better than her. No, you have to be genuinely saved. If in the darkness you are saved, in the light you are saved. So if you are at that level, to now pray to God, and your prayer is going to be answered because the prayer of the righteous ones, availeth much. So when you pray, your prayer will be answered, and you're going to take time. So let her just talk because she has such experience.
Okay, it's only a changed person that can change another person. Let's look at it from that area. And the Bible says, the faith of the wife, if it is the wife that is saved and in faith, our own faith will carry the husband, and vice versa. So, in my own case, we have almost the same case as that person. Before I got married, I've been praying, and I know the kind of man I want. And then my husband got saved, but along the line, something went wrong. And when something went wrong, I knew it. So I wasn't talking to him about it. I wasn't talking to anyone about it. I got scriptures together. In my heart, I know there is nothing God cannot do. And I know that every of these characters, every of these things that I want in a man, as I continue to pray and seek God's face, and as I continue to also play my own role as a godly woman, I know that my faith will at some point carry him. So I got my scriptures together every blessed day. I'm going to be that's why I'm going straight so that she will just learn and hear what I did. So I got my scripture together every day. I pray. Job chapter 2, verse 28. Every blessed day. And it shall come to pass, and I will pour my spirit upon all flesh. Father, pour your spirit upon this guy. Pour your spirit upon my husband. Every blessed day for good 5 years. Let's just leave the courtship apart from just the marriage, the first 5 years of marriage, every blessed. And it got to exactly 5 years. And the Lord responded. Everyone responded. Suddenly, the Spirit descended right in our own room. The rest of the testimony is for another day. So bless God for that. So I'm just encouraging. There's nothing to do rather than you making sure you are a light where there is light, darkness cannot comprehend. Yeah. Whatever it is that is not right, we actually fall in place when you are taking your stand in Christ. Then you can pray and God will hear you. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is really beautiful. I don't know if anybody here has a question to ask. We can just take maybe like one question or just maybe two questions live. If not, we'll have one extra question to ask, but we just wanted to open the floor for at least one or two people to ask any question. Anyone? Hello? Does anyone want to ask any question live? Oh, okay, Florence, you raised your hand. Yes, you can unmute and then you can ask. Hey, Florence, you need to unmute. Oh dear. Oh, okay, she says she'd rather chat. Okay, whilst that is going on, does anybody want to ask another question just before her question comes in? If not, that's okay. I'm just going to ask a last question, which will go to Pastor Jackson and Pastor Nancy, and you know, any extra question. Okay, hers is coming. How does one cope with temptation in marriage? So I'm supposing temptation, you know, extramarital affairs or extra things. Like, how does one cope with it? Because I think it's true. The fact that one is married doesn't mean that their eyes are caught.
Is that the temptation? Because it might be stealing.
Yeah. So let us.
You know,
okay.
It could be overeating.
Right.
You know, because I used to suffer from that, overeating. You know what I mean? And my wife caught me. She's like, "What are you doing?" There was one time, I wasn't supposed to eat after 8. And she had gone to bed, and I snuck into the kitchen to make myself a bowl of cereal. And I heard her upstairs coming down. I felt like a teenager. I quickly tried to throw the cereal away. But the cereal was too nice. I finished it.
I'll have it.
All right, okay. So basically, what is being said is that, you know, one in a long distance marriage, you know, one is married but living somewhere else, and temptation is occurring where you are. How can one handle it?
I think being the last question, I think each couple can answer from their point of view.
Yes.
My point is this, you know, every marriage has the purpose. Do not destroy your destiny because of one moment of, you know, enjoyment of some sort. The other thing I also say is, you know, try as best as you can. And it is a very difficult thing for married couples to be apart. My wife and I were apart for a while after we had gotten married. And it was very difficult. But the thought of being together kept me motivated, kept me inspired. The thought, you see, when you have hope in the future, there is strength in the present. And also, whatever you can both do, I don't know why there's a distance. We keep praying and keep doing what we can to bring the two of you together, whatever the situation is. I don't know whether the person's overseas and they're trying to do with papers or whatever, but start thinking about the purpose behind your marriage. You don't want to ruin that.
And also, just keep praying, just keep talking to God about it, because that temptation is so easy and you can just fall into that temptation if you don't engage in prayer. So just really engage in prayer and always pray about it.
All right. Pastor Pam and Pastor Jamie, please.
I think, similar to what Pastor Jackson said, I think it's remembering the purpose behind your marriage, and remembering that your marriage is even bigger than you. I look at marriage as almost God showing to the world His love. So I look here as if I go and defile my marriage, and you know, I engage in, you know, sexual relations with somebody else, I'm essentially showing a picture of God's love to other people and saying, well, it's worthless. It doesn't mean anything. I think it's also within your actual marriage as well. I think it's important to, you know, be creative. You know, be creative in how you love each other. It doesn't mean that you just have to resort to, you know, we have technology now. You don't need to just talk to each other on the phone or send letters. You know, do video calls. You know, have online dates. Be very intentional about your communication with each other. Don't just say, how's your day, love? How's your day, love? No, talk about your feelings. Talk about how work has been. If you're stressed, talk about how stressed you are. If you're feeling, I don't know how to, I know some people might feel uncomfortable when I say this. I don't know a less vulgar way to say, if you feel horny, if you feel hot, you need to say it, okay? You need to be able to communicate that to your partner and be accountable about that so that you can be able to have a good line of communication and know how to deal with it. It's really, really important. I think sometimes, especially it can be within African cultures, when we're sheltered away from aspects of sex, we're even afraid to even discuss it very freely within marriage. And you have to understand that this is your marital partner. You have to learn. Some of you have to learn it. Okay, it's not something that's gonna come natural to you. You have to learn how to do it and how to talk about it in a mature manner so that it's for your benefit. Don't think that it's something you have to hide about. If you feel these things, talk about it with each other, explore it with each other. You help each other much more.
All right, thank you very much. Pastor Bumi and Pastor Raf, please.
Okay.
Yeah, just like Pastor Pam have said, that is what I wanted to say. The lady should be vulnerable to her partner. To let her know that she's been tempted here, and just being vulnerable. When you say that, your heart will be clear, and the man himself, will be on his toes to ensure that the communication, just like Pastor Pam as well said, is increased. The communication should be increased. They should talk, almost all the time when they have free time to talk. They should ensure they increase their communication, because when the feelings come or when the temptation is high, you run to your partner, do a call, and just ensure that you express yourself to your partner, and in the long run, there will be some satisfaction. And pray as well to ensure that you guys comes together. It's very, very essential, because the Lord does not created marriage for separation, but something will drive you, just like Dr. Jackson said. The purpose will drive you. The purpose of why you are married will establish you to be faithful, to not run into temptation, because that temptation is just like a trap. Just want to destroy the destiny of the marriage and the purpose why the marriage was established in the first place. So you just need to look at those factors and pray to God to ensure that both of you comes together. And when it becomes very difficult for you to come together, you just need to take a step to come together. No matter how it is, the step will be very hard. You just need to take that step, bear the risk, and come together. Let me just give you this little story. My pastor's wife lives in the UK, and she earns a lot of money. She's a medical practitioner. But the husband is in Nigeria here, earning just few stuff. The money is not up to what the husband earns over there. The wife earns over there. But when they realize that the distance is going to cause a mayhem, the wife left where she was, and she came down to meet the husband in the UK. And in the long run, they could travel together back to the UK, and now they can go in and come in. So sometimes you take those bold steps and just rely on God, that God is going to set to you. It's not the country you are that matters. It's not the country your partners is matter. Where your partner is, it matters. That it's God that matters. God can give you anything, anywhere you are. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your answers. They have been so full of wisdom, and it's really sad that now at the end of our panel is when questions start coming in, which is really because we can't. If we stayed here to answer lots of questions, I think we'd be here for a long time, and it would be nice to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day, and hopefully if we have more questions to ask, I guess one way or the other provisions could be made, I suppose. I don't know, to answer these questions, but let's just say that, we've come to the end of the, the panel, and right now we're just going to appreciate our leaders, or more or less introduce them, the leaders of the Women of Power Global, to you, and again, who they are, and then what we're on about. And you just saw that so for the rest of the questions answered, I think if it's possible to arrange the panelists to send a video recording their answers. So that's actually something really good. And yeah, but before we show the videos of the leaders, of course, would like to really appreciate every one of you that came. We would like to appreciate the panelists for taking the time. Pastor Jay and Pastor Pam, we really, really appreciate your coming and taking the time out of your busy schedule to, you know, stay with us and answer questions. Pastor Bumi and Pastor Ralph, we can't thank you enough for coming as well. Pastor Ralph, more especially because we know probably had a busy schedule coming to us. And Pastor Jackson, we can never take you for granted. Pastor Nancy, you are one in a million. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate your wisdom. We really appreciate not just your wisdom, but the fact that the you know, all of you as a couple are not just, you know, street smart, but you are smart in the spirit as well. You know, you have really good wisdom to offer. And so we can't appreciate you enough. We thank you so much, you know, and God bless you.